Bloomberg.
That's right. It seems as if the mainstream media don't really want to know about it. But let me tell you, the public is outraged. I'd like to urge everyone listening to call their members of Congress. We don't have a lot of time. Most people are too busy to get involved in politics day to day. But this day is different because it's now or never. And here's the number, 202-224-3121. That's 224-3121. And if you call, those members of Congress, they've always got their wet finger up in the wind. They count those calls and they vote accordingly. So if enough calls come in, they are going to get these intrusive health provisions out of this bill.
Well, you're on Sirius XM satellite, so you're talking to all 50 states right now, and we have a scroll technology. So what my board op is doing right now is this is going to be running on every single person's radio unit, that number you just gave out.
And by the way, let's talk about why this provision got snuck in here.
You go right ahead.
Tom Daschle wrote a book last year called Critical, What We Can Do About the Healthcare Crisis. He was, of course, expecting to be head of HHS when Senator Obama won the presidency. So on page 196, he gives the future president some advice. He says the next president should act immediately to capitalize on goodwill. If that means attaching a health care plan to the federal budget, so be it. This issue is too important to be stalled by Senate protocol. Hey, so he's the one who told Obama, sneak it into the first bill you present before Congress. And Daschle was a strong supporter of Hillary Clinton's health plan in 1994. And in his book, he blames the defeat of that bill on delay and debate. So he is advising the next president to avoid any kind of public debate, just slip it into something else. And that's what they did.
If you're just joining us, we're talking to former Lieutenant Governor from New York, Betsy McCaughey, who has this amazing piece in Bloomberg today, Ruin Your Health with the Obama Stimulus Plan. Now, let me see if I'm following some of the political targeting here. We saw that young voters really came out in force for Obama, and it sounds like with the stimulus package, they were saying STD prevention, which is by and large probably used by younger voters before older voters, abortion provisions, which are used with younger voters before older voters, smoking cessation, drug treatment programs. This sounds like an old versus young, but no one's telling these young Obama supporters that one day they're going to be elderly themselves. And by the way, this might affect their parents and or grandparents.
That's right. This health plan has a great deal of potential for suffering. And one organization we should all be calling today is AARP. Here is the number, 888-687-2277. Now, the most dangerous provision in the House version of this bill, which would have rationed care based on a formula that's definitely dangerous for the elderly, that's been removed in the Senate bill. We've already made some progress here. So it shows you what democracy can achieve when we all speak up.
Well, okay, here's another thing I wanted to ask you. You've sat in, when we talk about the difference between electing senators and governors, Sarah Palin was almost vice president. We have you and Governor Pataki have executive leadership. That's what comes with, we look at Michael Steele as the new GOP chairman. He was a lieutenant governor like yourself. He has executive leadership. There's a difference between being executive and being a member of a deliberating body like the Senate or the House, State Assembly, State Senate.
I agree with you. I think executive leadership is vitally important. And when you see these members of Congress in both the House and the House of Representatives and the Senate who say, oh, I didn't really read the bill. I was talking to the minority whip the other day who said, well, I haven't really read the stimulus bill. What are we sending these people to Washington to do, if not to do their homework?
You mean Eric Cantor?
Yes.
Wow.
He said he hadn't read the bill.
I know Representative Cantor, and I'm going to have to take this up with him, but here's the question I have for you. As somebody who's overseen or been part of the overseeing of a state budget, you know that you have to budget resources for the future year or borrow on the state's credit, and then ultimately, for better or for worse, the taxpayers, the state taxpayers in your case, have to pay that back.
Yes.
If we borrow $900 billion and we have a health care system that is essentially geared only towards young workers who are going to be the ones to pay it back. It's like saying that we're going to borrow all this money, you're going to spend your life laboring to pay this back, and then when you're no longer of use to the state, we're going to literally put you out to pasture.
That's right. So these young people better be listening. But moving beyond the health care issue, this stimulus bill will not achieve the huge promises that have been made. If we look back at the Great Depression, FDR launched several huge public works programs with the very same intention that's embodied in the stimulus bill. Now, he did it because he didn't know better. He wasn't ill-intentioned. But in 1939, Henry Rosenwald, the Secretary of the Treasury, Henry Morgenthau, Secretary of the Treasury, addressed Congress and said, we've been spending and spending, we've been spending more than ever before. And government spending doesn't work. Those are his words. He said, unemployment is higher now than it was in 1933 when we began this spending. So we learned from the Great Depression that these public works programs didn't work. What you need to do to jumpstart the economy is to cut taxes permanently and on the margin. On the margin because it gives investors an incentive to invest that next dollar, which creates jobs. And permanent because then consumers know that they can be confident if they spend the money, they're going to have more money again tomorrow. Otherwise, they'll just save it or pay down their debts. So we need permanent tax cuts at the margin. Three brilliant economists, the Nobel laureate Milton Friedman, who wrote The Monetary History of the U.S., Amity Shlaes, who's written a wonderful new book called The Forgotten Man about the Depression, and thirdly, one of Barack Obama's own economic advisors in the White House now, Christine Romer, wrote a report in 1991 for the National Bureau of Economic Research. All three books show that those public works programs during the Depression prolonged the misery. They did not turn the economy around.
Well, you know what? I read an op-ed piece that said perhaps the key to solving all these problems is to include more women, and I think they're right, as long as that woman is you. So long as that woman is you, I think we have the key to some of these problems. Are you? Look, I know you're busy, and I have to let you go. Are you getting any other? I'm sure you're getting your phone is ringing off the hook with conservative-minded radio hosts. But are you getting any invitations to any other media opportunities to explain what it is you've written here and laid out so eloquently?
I've been on Fox and CNN. Let's hope that the major networks who can reach the largest number of people show some interest in this, because this is going to affect every single person's health care.
All right, Lieutenant Governor McCaughey, thank you so much for coming on the program. 1-866-95-PATRIOT, 1-866-95-PATRIOT. This is the next generation of great talk radio. This is the Wilkow majority. We are right. They are wrong. Thank God for Betsy McCaughey. XN America Right 166, Sirius Patriot 144.